Good morning, afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you to a special edition of a program here at FlintTalkRadio.com. I'm George Moss, the host normally of the program called What's Going On, that airs from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We're doing a special program this afternoon, and we are very happy to have in the studio one of the persons that's been here before and a person that is making a lot of waves out there in the political arena, Mr. Darwin Jiles. And Mr. Jiles, I want to welcome you for coming in to the studio again.
It's always an honor.
We were talking before we went on air about some things that are happening in the aftermath of the elections that took place in early this month. Yes. So, Darwin, why don't you just start us off by telling us what you have noticed in the political arena, some things you might want to share with the viewers.
Yeah, 4 years going into being a community activist, launching a nonprofit organization, and being involved in the political arena, there's a lot as far as experience I can think of and remember one of the very first interviews I had with Flint Talk Radio. And there's been a lot of growth, a lot of development. A lot of things have changed with my perspective on the solutions to a lot of our problems within the community, within the family, within government in general. Now is the time to not only become principled, but to make sure we don't run away from our biblical principles and the moral principles that America was founded on, the Judeo-Christian values, making sure government is ethically and morally sound. And it starts with our leadership. And so as of this moment, I feel like I've kind of been on the mountaintop and I've walked through the valley low. And there's a lot that I've witnessed firsthand and experienced. And I would say this is a more mature Darwin Jiles compared to previously. I've gotten a lot of the zeal out of my system, working very hardly from local campaigns, mayoral campaigns, even to national campaigns. And I've gained a lot of experience. Even now, I've had up into close to 8-9 graduate classes. I was nominated most influential at Oakland University of my class. So there's a lot of things now, even debated Obamacare in graduate classrooms, and had atheist professors, want to score me down because I stand strong to American traditional values. And that's not a reflection of Oakland University everywhere. I'm sure we have some great patriots there, and definitely Ruth Johnson has been a conservative who has stood strong and have affiliations with definitely Oakland University. But overall, these are principles that right now we need activists to stand up more than ever. And there's several things going on within the political arena that I've been able to not only notice and more so determine new solutions, but also I realize that we have a problem. We probably are in the most challenging time that I've seen within my generation, within the future of our state government, our national government, and even within the local municipalities. We're in a very challenging time right now, and it's critical.
Would you say that your awakening, as you call it, is more attributable to your college education, or is it from being involved in the political arena?
It's a little of both, and also I would like to say I'm a believer first, and I would say that my commitment to Jesus Christ and understanding government and understanding our civil duties with as Christians, as I've stated before, 34% of our Constitution was founded from the Bible. John Locke being an influential minister who helped influence the Constitution and the Founding Fathers. The two treaties of government. This was an astounding book, which is referenced, thousands of references to the Bible, which helped. This is scholarly reported and statistically proven. That our Constitution and our documents, our independence and things like that, was drafted from these Founding Fathers in this particular book. So these principles are they're undeniable.
I was saying in the program we just got through taping on my program I do every Monday at 2 o'clock that the creature I was talking about Labor Day, and I was saying the creature of Jekyll Island was not created on Jekyll Island. It was created it was drawn up on that island, but the creature is Washington, D.C.
Right.
And just like in the Constitution that you're talking about, this monstrosity we have right now in government was not what the framers had in mind.
No, it was not.
That's created under the politicians in Washington, D.C. also. And we have gotten a long way from what was intended by the framers.
Yes, and because you're so courageous, and I honestly say you're one of my main heroes through my most rewarding times and most discouraging times, I can always look and find the truth from your blogs, not from a political alliance standpoint, but always from a standpoint of education, truth, and history. And I can honestly say now we are dealing with crooks as politicians within Washington and Lansing, and this is more the problem now than you have anything. There's things going on now that it's just downright nowhere near to what our founding fathers intended, and they don't have an agenda to get us close to there either. It's almost as if saying, you have Republicans that are just Republican in name only, and they don't have any intention of standing firm, going against the grain to preserve our heritage. And you can see that even with the lack of support for Israel right now. We have to remain faithful to Israel. And that's just one small example, but a critical example.
There's so many different examples to go away from that. I watched that when I was in Africa. I could not believe the anti-Semitism in the news reporting that was going on. We only had one station over there with CNN.
Correct.
They didn't have Fox and some of the other networks. They didn't have MSNBC. But when I was watching over there, CNN's reporting, it was amazing how all the reporting came out of what they were doing over there in Gaza.
Correct.
They didn't do any reporting of Israel hiding out in what amounts to bunkers.
Correct. Because
of missiles being fired into that land space.
And so right now we are really in the world hates absolutes. Nothing to be black and white. And we are at a time right now where you're either on one side or the other. The time of playing to be lukewarm, you play the middle of the road, moderate, so to speak. That's just a bunch of hogwash. That you're either on one side or the other. You're either liberal or conservative, and it's really no room for in between. Now, me personally, I am very proud of a lot of the financial things as far as balancing budgets in Michigan. I'm very fond of the business, I would say, complexity or the business knowledge of some of our leaders. I'm just definitely just satisfied with that. But also,
you're satisfied
with a lot of the business knowledgeable leaders that we have. But we can't stop there. We can't just stop with it being pro-enterprise. We now have to remember, without the moral values, without the Judeo-Christian values being in place, we can actually turn our backs on God and actually penalize our economy more than anything, by simply having unethical, immoral, just to use the Elliot-Larsen Civil Rights Act. There's no reason why we need to revisit that or reform that in any way to and to accommodate the gay or lesbian community. And that is just any politician who is promoting that currently. This is definitely not for the best intentions, or definitely not putting Michigan first, going towards that, because even if that's not the intent, that's exactly what it sounds like right now. And that is a serious thing. There's penalties to that, and we don't want that as conservatives here in Michigan, nor can we stand for it.
What would you think about Judge Friedman, that overturned the verdict of the voters who had voted against same-sex marriage in the state, and then you had this one judge come in and declare that was unconstitutional?
Well, again, we have leaders who have turned their back on God. We're almost going to a secular humanism type of atheistic society, and I believe that is a golden opportunity for real, true evangelicals to stand up and help promote the truth and stand up to these type of leaders. So how do you do? Well, when there are elections or anything else comes up, when those who don't have the permanent positions, to get those individuals voted out. It's time for us to look at voting, our voting records of our legislators, and not just vote for personality because you like someone or because of this. You look at what they stand for, but definitely protest that, stand up against it. And I would say that that's not a good ruling. I would not say that's a just or moral ruling at all. And so these are the things that, as of right now, I would feel that it's almost better to have a true and outright enemy, which is if you could quote unquote say a liberal or their policies. I don't think people, as a Christian, we shouldn't have enemies as, people, but the behaviors, the policies, those things we have to stand firm against. But I would rather have a liberal who I know stands for things that are not right, and we can downright debate, and I can say I don't respect what you're doing, I don't respect what you stand for, than have an actual so-called quote-unquote Republican who is that only in name only, and basically will say one thing promoting to have a conservative front, but really know that they don't care about that. That's not really their agenda. And they're going to give a lot of people the wrong impression about what true republicanism is. That is a biblical concept. Most people don't know that. So I take a great offense to the backlash, the backstabbing towards conservatives, the Gary Glenns, the Dave Edgemont. These are heroes to me. These individuals stood up for things that most people would never stand up for. So especially individuals like Norm Hughes, a lot of individuals who stand up for freedom in Michigan. I've heard of individuals say who was connected to Governor Snyder's administration in one way or the other, but he said, in 2004, as we spoke about, the voters voted against gay marriage. Well, he said, well, that's almost as if like that was 1,000 years ago. And that's just not true. I mean, it was less than a decade ago, and the thing about it is, we have to hold firm to what our voters want and stop trying to go left and go middle of the ground just because we feel it's going to gain votes. I don't believe in compromising principle in order to gain votes. I believe it's falsehood. I believe you're not even a good example for leadership, and it is persecution that comes along with it. I've been persecuted, lies, rumors, I mean, you name it, for no reason. I'm not even technically an elected official. I've never even inspired to even go that route. If God has it in my future, so be it. But that's never. I stood up in 2011, helping individuals who worked across the aisle to make a difference in Flint, Michigan, to stand firm on education, principle, just my moral convictions. And as a result, I became more politically involved, but that was never my intent, nor did I necessarily want to. I looked at politics as slow. Too much red tape, too much special interest, too much deception and downright backbiting and just bitterness from people. That's never been my thing. I believe business solutions are some of the best solutions to social problems. So I've always looked at that, but at the same time, capitalism without morals and ethics is very destructive. So you have to have balance, and you have to make sure we're keeping the right frame of mind, and we're focused on what really is pleasing to God, what's pleasing to our fellow community, and putting the state first. And I believe that's critical.
Let me ask you, you have been very much involved in politics.
Yes.
And have you been discouraged in being involved in politics, or are you plan to be as much involved in it now as you were?
Well, as of right now, I think because I'm newly to get married and I'm focused on graduate school, like I said, I'm so close. I'm an accelerated program. Many people, even my fiance, she looks at me like sometimes I'm Superman because I can handle and juggle so much, but really, at times it does get challenging. It really does push my time management and priorities to the max. But because I'm going into this new season, the Bible is clear. The first year you shouldn't take on new business. I think after working for a national campaign, I think I probably maxed out with politics right now. But I'm going to continue to be involved and do the things that I do to be a community change agent and to do a lot of things. So your impact of doing this, it doesn't stop. I think Dave Edgemont, I spoke with him personally, previous state representative. He's now the national elected committeeman of the Michigan Republican Party. And he said one of the very first requirements is that you need to hate politics in order to be involved with it. So although even before I even became involved with a national campaign, I actually said I was going to take a break then, because I've been doing this, as you witness, I've been doing this for 4 years straight.
Yes, I know.
And I've had a lot of reward. I've learned a lot. I've developed a lot. I made some mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes. I I'm very hopeful with my future in that arena, but I just like making a difference. You know, a lot of individuals in my family, you know, Charles Winfrey is my uncle, previous manager for Woodrow Stanley, campaign manager, and you know, I didn't develop this movement in having one of the largest conservative movements within Genesee County, and I would even say challenge even within the state as far as the notoriety and the attention I've brought to issues and just the grassroots. But I didn't start with any political help. The Republican Party didn't help me. You know, this was just out of a zeal, a passion to stand up and make a difference and make an impact in my generation. Now, whether people agree or disagree with that, I think that the results is profound, and I think it's a lasting effect. I've influenced a lot of leaders around the state. I've influenced a lot of movements.
I've influenced. Are you the founder of Flint?
Yes, Flint Agriculture.
You the founder of that?
Yes.
Singularly, or you had some?
Singly. I do have a team that's helped me, and a few of my team members, and actually board executives, some are in Flint, some within the Detroit area. We work together, and I've been very patient with launching it fully because I've learned. I didn't really know what it was when I first, started. I think when Facebook was started, one of the founders said, we really don't know what it is right now, so we got to be very careful to just put any type of labels on it. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty much where I have completed a business plan, marketing plan, everything. It's just in writing and ready to go, and that's just pretty much how I like things. I'm very thorough with making business decisions and doing that. But I founded that just standing up for the death of course of my father in 2008. And I think that's what motivated me to make a difference. Mm-hmm. When your father is found in front of an abandoned building and he doesn't get a proper investigation because there's already so many homicides anyway, and then you hear about crime being decreased due to basically the elimination of police, and we're just killing each other off. I mean, it's kind of an insult, and I don't think that's the perfect way to eliminate crime, but those type of events and crises that I've been through have really matured me and helped me develop my focus even more. And with that being said, that's why I'm at a season where I'm prioritizing my life and getting things in the right perspective. And I think I've had a lasting effect on politics and things within my area, even within the state. I had a lot of fun at the Lieutenant Governor's after party and going to the Christian Coalition just recently dinner. And met a lot of individuals out in West, and so I had a chance to really do a lot of good things and contribute to a lot of good causes.
You've done that. Well, do you intend to be involved in the election in November?
There's a great chance in one way, form, or another, even if it's preparing for the next. I'm really more focused on the next cycle of election, seasons, because, to me, I feel like this election is kind of where it is, and I think there's a divine season going on right now, and the voters are going to determine which direction Michigan takes, towards the future, especially with the Senate race, especially with the governor's race, and a lot of things. But I'm more focused on the next election cycle than now.
Than this one.
Yeah, than this one, to be honest with you, because I believe that's what really can promote a conservative, real conservative leaders, and promote them for what we're doing. And that's not a shot at what's happening now, but Michigan has been liberal for so long, that anybody that think you don't have to do some type of compromising to some degree to get things a certain way probably are not under the right impression of where Michigan was. But at the same time, at the cost of Common Core, at the cost of compromising Elliot-Larsen Civil Rights Act, and compromising so many other critical issues, I would say it is not worth it. And I would prefer to stand for the right thing and lose an election than practice deceit and compromise values, because once you start that snowball, there's no end to it. And once you're held to that, then you may as well just become liberal. So now you have two political parties, and one is split currently. The Michigan Republican Party is heavily split. I don't think I've ever seen anything more dysfunctional right now, and it's sad because, as I told one state rep's wife, I was speaking to them. This was a private conversation. I said, I'm more concerned with the urban community and the black community. I have too many issues to focus on that I can't get involved in the local and state politics and a lot of the backbiting, and individuals want me to join sides and teams, but I stay true to principle. I stay true to education. I believe your history and our heritage are things that are going to keep you rooted. regardless of who's in office, who's elected. And those should be things we're promoting 24 hours a day. I mean, 7 days a week, 365. Those are things we need to do on an ongoing basis to make a real impact, to change things. I mean, we have to make disciples of this if we really believe it and want to make a difference. Politics come and go.
I think you're on the right path. I don't see any principles in the political arena, and that's what really frightens me about the direction this country is taking.
Same here, and especially within Michigan right now.
Because the country is on automatic pilot where you don't understand, there's no principle you can see in place that's guiding what it is that we do.
Correct.
Whether in the national level or whether we're talking about, say, local politics.
Correct.
It's just simply people doing that which is politically expedient.
Correct.
And that just really bothers me.
Yeah, they're catering to special interests. I mean, so many individuals now, I mean, I just seen just a downright, gridlock almost. And witnessing it now. And they're basically saying, well, I don't want to support this person because of his immoral stance. Well, you have another group saying, well, maybe we do need to support him because he has a lot of political connections and all of the money he has. And Norm, he's the leader of Michigan CPAC here. He has an annual event. And one thing he said is that money is influencing politics way too much. And if we're going to let money determine that, well, then we might as well let anybody who has money just dictate all our morals. But thank God America wasn't founded on that. We were founded on principle back when we didn't have, when many of the boats shipped and came here, we didn't have the established economies we have now. We didn't have a lot. We feared God. And the Lord blessed this country to stand and make a lot and be the light of the world. And there's principles and morals and just our relationship to God. When you have a president that says, this is no longer a Christian country, that is just pathetic. And I don't think I've gotten over that. I'm almost to prove, on a mission to prove it is still a Christian, country. But overall, these are things that are very alarming to me, very concerning, seriously. And this is why I've had to realize and let people know I've never been about politics. I've never been about the Republican Party or Democratic Party. It's always been more so me being, when you look at Abraham Lincoln, these individuals were principled. It was a divine reason why the slaves were set free. It wasn't just politics. In fact, most of the politicians, the establishment and conservatives were almost against it. This was a moral thing, and he pushed that moral and divine and had a lot of consequences because of it. I've had a lot of people slander me because of where I stand, and have people put false media articles up and things, and you call the individuals writing these articles out, well, Darwin, I didn't know, I apologize, or well, it's creative writing, so you can just lie. Well, those things are intentional. We know that those things are sent to discourage you or lie or damage your character or your witness. And, I stand strong, in Isaiah when it talks about no weapon formed against you shall prosper. I believe in that sincerely. And so right now I believe we need to just continue to stand firm and not waver in our principles, because there will always be a light to us in the governmental arena, in politics, and in any type of community endeavors you do. And I think it can work. And you can't say that you're standing for God if you support abortion, if you support gay marriage, which is really sodomy, has nothing to do with rights and civil rights. It has everything to do with God saying that those behaviors and practices are not right. It's not morally correct, and I don't think anyone that loves and fears God and respects traditional marriage should look at that as if that's something we can compromise on. There's consequences that comes along with compromising, and this is where you would hope and think more churches will come out more and say, this is where I stand. I stand against any type of sodomy and same sex relations. I stand against abortion, knowing 2/3 of abortions are African Americans, nearly 5,000 a day, over 50 million since Roe v. Wade. I mean, the statistics are just, they're out there. It's astounding when you really know the statistics about this. And these are moral issues. These are not,
They're moral issues. Do you see any hope in the immediate future to reverse these trends we're talking about?
Well, you have to support the right party. You have to support the right. When I mean party, I don't mean political affiliation. What I mean by parties, groups, individuals. You have to support the right people, and you have to stick with them through the good, bad, and the ugly. And I really got to give a special thank you to the people who supported me with Fun Urban Culture through the good, bad, and the ugly. There's times when we were very, we walking in with senators and individuals, lieutenant governors, and those are the good days. There's times when, you're getting blasted in media and no one wants to come near you, but the efforts continue on the more we all put our efforts together and support the right things. And it's going to take more of a media outcry and more public relations. It's going to take a better job at marketing. The Republican Party cannot stray from its base, its grassroots, its conservative base, and we cannot compromise on principle. Now we can't. We will set a bad record for Michigan and leave a very bad taste in the voters' mouth. If we compromise on these things, we will really probably lose an opportunity to take our state completely red and keep it red. If we do that, we cannot drown out Tea Party support. We have to stay true to liberty and freedom, which means you have to have the right leaders that are not just, for special interests and just trying to get money for their pockets. A lot of people just want to line their own pockets with money, and this is why they deal in politics. And that unfortunately was never me. I left corporate America so that I could do something that at first I wasn't even getting paid for. Thank God the money eventually came, and I worked really hard for it. So I've never been involved in politics without working and earning my benefits at every step of the way. Never was agreement with special interests or anything like that. And I know a lot of people who have sold their soul to politics on both sides.
I don't see a lot of young people that have your maturity, and I've seen growth since you were here last time where you talked. I can see the growth that you come to from that point to where you are right now, having gone through the experience you were talking about earlier. How many young people do you see that you're around that have this kind of maturity?
Honestly, one good friend of mine, David Walker, who works for Christians United for Israel, he's a good example of someone principled. And you do have a few who are there, just to be completely honest, that I've seen, and I'm pretty sure you add them up, it could lead to many. But overall, what I see is like Jesus stated before, the harvest is plentiful and the laborers are few. There's a harvest of people who want to be knowledgeable about politics. I had an opportunity to take a young lady to the Christian Coalition dinner, and I actually heard pastors speak out and say, we don't worship, elephants and donkeys or, the symbols of the political parties, but we worship, the king in the line of Judah. We stand up for those moral Christian values that we have to stand for, our faith. And she was able to be more so influenced, not just by political alliance, but to know what political ideology she should accept, what lines up with the Bible, what principles you should have. And so because of that, I believe that there's such an open field for individuals who want to learn and know. But people who are not in this for the right reasons are not interested in really educating. They're more so interested in persuasion and throwing money just to get a certain outcome because they just want what they want anyway. It's never about really the overall collective success of people. It's more so just individuality. And Genesee County can be greatly divided right now amongst progressives and so quote-unquote moderate Republicans and things like that, when the true cure to this area is going to be more conservatism, more freedom, more liberty, more leaders who are going to vote that way. And I just say that that's what they are. Because if you look at a lot of our legislators' voting records, you'll be very disappointed on how many people have sold their soul to politics, and they're career politicians, and they don't want to get out. They don't want to do anything. And some of these individuals were friends. They've taken me to the state capitol. We've talked. But when you look at what's going on, man, they don't really care about making a real difference, And those type of people, unfortunately, there was a place for them at one point, but I think they need to move out of the way so you can let new recruitment come up and those who are passionate about this fight and make a difference, So I think there's a lot of people who, and this is what Flint Urban Culture focuses on, the individuals who don't know right or left. They don't understand that, and we could, through education and through biblical values and teaching, just simply be able to inform people on what you stand for.
What do you think about the Tea Party as a kind of a thrust into the political arena. Do you think they're having an impact upon the politics of the?
Well, they do, but I think a lot of that is sometimes you have a perception problem with the Tea Party. I think some individuals look at them as being too radical. You know, I support the Tea Party. You know, in fact, I'm working on the Urban Tea Party. I'm working on these things, but I believe everything has to be balanced. Everything has to be in moderation. Simply articulated correctly. Individuals sometimes can misinterpret your zeal, and they can almost look at you as being an extremist group, even though you stand for what's right. You know, most individuals don't understand the level of freedom and the actual limitations government has. So you have right now even legal gun owners being treated like criminals. Criminalized. I mean, you can report a shooting, you can actually not get arrested for it, and they can later just put anything in the media and make it sound like as if you're just some violent criminal. And this is law-abiding individuals. And to me, I've been on both sides of the track in the sense of growing up in the inner city, where I've witnessed good and bad behavior concerning gun rights and those type of things. And what I've witnessed is that if you have to be more concerned, you have to have more money to defend yourself being a law-abiding, that is a downright attack against your constitutional rights. And it's our society is getting to a point where they're going to try to come and take our guns officially in one way, form, or the other. They're already trying to push more gun registration. And like with John, he has a sticker here that says you register criminals, not firearms. And I'm a firm believer in that. But we have some serious problems here that if you don't have true patriots stand up and fight right now, the battle is going to be lost.
I can almost gauge a person's morality by their support or non-support of the Second Amendment.
Oh, Second Amendment, Israel, those are big things. But nowadays, I'm going to be honest, it's not, and this is my research of being in the field, I mean, hours and hours and hours, probably thousands of hours within the last 4 years working with conservative Democrats and conservatives and also moderate Republicans. And most individuals just simply don't know. And they're more so influenced by peer pressure. You know, you find they get these young interns or individuals who come and they put them in positions and they basically use the backing of the party, regardless of which party it is, to influence people's perspectives, not about what's the truth. You know, and so you have people who are just falling for a lack of knowledge, a lack of vision, simply not being educated and not knowing what they should stand for and what they should support. And that's scary because we need to become a more educated society and know. You know, I've just had a hunger and thirst. It's something I prayed about to become more intellectual because I didn't always have this intellectual thirst or hunger. And now that I have it, I try to use it in every way that I can to articulate the right things. And thanks to a lot of my mentors and people who helped me, you know, both in and outside the Republican Party, you know, it's been a wonderful thing to grow and to learn this. But yeah, those things are really something where our rights are being taken away from us, and media is being able to almost influence things one way or the other, regardless of what the truth is. You know? I
saw that with that situation out in Ferguson.
Yes.
When I was in Africa, I could not believe the slanted reporting that was going on. Don Lemon, I just could not believe the depths in which he's sunk as a news reporter to take the news reporting to that level.
Correct.
Did you? I don't normally watch CNN, but that was on the station over there.
Well, I followed all of your posts about it, so
yeah, I was
you
amazed.
informed me of a lot.
I didn't have a chance to watch anything else, and I was watching a station I never watched when I'm here. But I was just appalled. And then in Africa, they were asking me, what does all this mean with these persons throwing rocks through buildings and walking out with stuff they had not paid for? That was strange to them. They couldn't understand it.
Yeah, and see, this is great topic to bring up because what African Americans have to realize is that being being completely, as far as looting and just being uncontrollable, being rebellious and being uncouth and just not being trained and showing you have any type of civil obedience when the Bible says obey civil authorities, that doesn't get us anywhere. It hasn't gotten us anywhere. Okay, maybe at one point, let's say it did. But those days are not, we're not fighting the same struggle that we once fought back then. And we were stronger during the Jim Crow days than we are now. And like one of the Christian rappers actually stated, which was, we can't scream out lawlessness in our rap music and rap culture, pop culture, and murder and all these evil things, and then turn around and have our hands up saying, hey, don't shoot. when we're promoting killing our own in our own music and murder and I mean, you can just go from Waka Flocka to a lot of other rappers who see murder. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that we speak those things into existence, and we stand for that. And it's very hypocritical, and it's going to be seen as hypocritical and ignorant to other races and ethnicities. Even though the Bible says, "Know no man after the flesh." We're not supposed to see each other by skin color, but it does when we have such cultural hypocrisy. When we can allow these things, when you have individuals who, I mean, I dare anybody say anything. Barack Obama came from Chicago, and he never once made any type of real serious dents to stop the black-on-black crime there. I dare he get in and get involved to stir up more mischief in our country when he knows for a fact that he hasn't made any type of dent for his own. And not only that, but you have other individuals who say, standing up and being rebellious is this, that, and the other. When it's all about economic empowerment, it's about education. We don't own anything in the areas we're looting. So the thing is, we're not hurting us. We drive our own insurance rates up by burning houses down and creating arson. I mean, we create our own economic woes and then try to blame white people for being whatever, and it's not right. It's never. We have not taken care of our own to the degree that we need to. Look at right in Flint. You have so many individuals here who could put together the right things for the right reasons outside of political alliances to do some positive things here. But people are more divided. They're more about themselves than they are anything else.
I was reading a poll that showed that 10% of the people in this country think that racial relations have improved since Obama was president. I don't know what that 10% has been for the last 6 years. I think that that should be 100%. This president has really divided his nation.
Well, let's just be honest. White guilt, a lot of people are probably a little bit more relieved because you see a black person in a position of power, in which you could almost give them credit for that. But the truth of the matter is, it should have never been about skin color. I heard an individual, a conservative, tell me, well, the only thing I like about Obama is that he's black. Well, my thing is, Obama's not black like me. He's not African American that's like myself. He doesn't even agree to the American traditions that I value. He doesn't even want the America that I want to preserve and fight for and develop and prosper in. He doesn't even serve the God I serve. This man is for Islam. This man has empowered our enemies. He has divided our country. He's done quite a few things. So I don't believe that is actually true. I think it's helped with a lot of the guilt from a lot of Caucasian individuals. But I think we as a party within the Republican Conservative Party should have elected a lot more minorities a long time ago. We have to do that. If we don't stand true to ethnic diversity, then we're not doing our job. And we should allow the liberals to win. If we're not going to get in gear and do what we should do, we're hypocrites ourselves. If we don't understand, you have to promote ethnic diversity. You have to promote that. You cannot say it's okay that as of whenever Obama was elected, that before then there was never any other type of ethnic, president or any other position.
Let me ask you, do you think the country is more divided now than it was before Obama took office?
Yes, I do. I think that a number of reasons, because I've seen things that he stuck out and spoke on things. If you look at the Trayvon Martin till now, and honestly, the thing is, you can listen. If you don't take care of your own home, if you don't watch and make sure your own gate is locked and taken care of, if you don't make sure your own bank account is taken care of, your own community is taken care of, your own schools are taken care of. I mean, we have our own obligations within the black community to take care of our own. Also to take care of all Americans. It's never been about skin color, but at the same time, we cannot justify us being irresponsible in a lot of areas as far as allowing the drugs, allowing the abuse, allowing a lot of the, issues that we've allowed culturally to continue to go. And then when accidents happen, maybe those incidents were accidents. But because we from parenting on down, we have to take more responsibility for what we are doing and not doing. Now, when people think of Trayvon Martin, they don't look at the fact he was still someone having disciplinary issues in school. Now, my father wouldn't let me leave the house if I had disciplinary issues when I was there. Now, I just believe that right there could have solved the problem. Okay, you look at this issue with the Ferguson thing. What type of young person goes and try to attack a police officer? Now, I know one that probably is asking for a death wish. But at the same time, we can't judge things from a perspective of crying racism through the media and through race baiters like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and those type of things, when we simply don't we're not strong enough to stand up for the own black and black crime that happens, to be able to trust the legal system, to look at certain things and have its way. And yes, the legal system is not perfect. It has to be influenced and pushed. And I'm all for protesting peacefully. I'm all for letting your voice be heard. But when we are much more powerful as a people, we're more united, then that can happen. Not through looting and rioting and those type of things. That's not going to be the solution to that. And it's not going to be having a hatred towards white people either. You know, I think I had a very influential young lady, and I'm not going to mention her name because, you know, her husband is you know, almost like family to me, but she went on a rant, and I can understand it. And I got pulled over, just last night. I think the officer said I was in West Bloomfield, I think, that my headlight, you know, we had a flood. And actually, my headlight, once he wrote the citation for me, he looked and said, oh, wow, your headlight isn't out. Now, here it is, I'm getting a citation. He had to sign his own citation and let me go. But here it is, you stopped me. You said my headlight was out. Now, I could have gotten angry, or I could have said, you know, man, it happens. We're human. Things happen. We can't just be so quick to say people's motives are wrong. The law still has a right to do what they're supposed to do without screaming pigs. And because this individual who I was speaking about, she had a bad experience with getting pulled over. And that's one of the first things. I hate pigs. Well, how are you going to just discriminate against all law enforcement, but these same people, when you're getting raped or your house is getting broken into, you're calling them and you're thanking them for protecting you. You're thanking them for protecting your businesses and so many other things. You know, just like there's been a lot of things that's happened. I stand firmly by the Michigan State Police in Michigan, especially within the inner cities of Flint. They've probably done most of the investigative work and done a phenomenal job that I know of. And yes, they are aggressive. But you have aggressive crime here. I mean, Flint is not an easy place to police. I mean, it's not even a place to even have civil through community activism to even protest and do community activism here. It's dangerous. So you're going to have to take different precautions. And my condolences go out to the family who lost, I believe, their mother. That was just a tragic circumstance. And if anything was legally you know, at risk for the Michigan State Police or anything like that, I'm pretty sure the attorney they have fired, he's going to find that out. But even if that's not, I don't think we should be mad at the police. I think we should be mad at the criminals that's running from the police.
We should be mad at the media also.
Yeah,
There was a person that was killed by a black police officer 2 days after the incident happened.
Correct.
And Jefferson didn't make any of the headlines, and nobody's demonstrating as a result of it.
Correct.
And I think what they're doing is simply feeding us this concept that we are victims and we are overwhelmed by white racism in the country.
And that's not true.
And we're responding, it's certainly not true, and we're responding to the created image given to us, passed out every time there's an incident like this by the media, and they are simply feeding this notion that we're being overwhelmed by the Bull Connors that are not wearing sheets or wearing business suits.
Correct.
And those are our oppressors. I saw that even, Darwin, when Oprah Winfrey went all the way over to Switzerland, and was claiming that there's a purse up there that you are in a store to sell, and she is one of the few persons that can pay $35,000 for a purse. Yes. That's not every customer that walks in that store. And for people to take that nonsense that she's in a store and a woman does not want to show her a purse that nobody's going to buy it, she doesn't buy it. And they were running on the radio program. Tom Joyner was talking about, look at how they treated Oprah over there in Switzerland. And so she went all the way over there and found victimization on the rock in Switzerland, and then brought that back. And these people were saying, look at the racism of these white folks over there, where Tina Turner is getting ready to get married. She's one of the few blacks over there, and she hasn't reported not one time anyone over there
racist to her or anything.
No reports of it.
Yeah.
But we're looking for these opportunities.
Well, you got to understand.
And the president actually feeding that notion.
You have people, I mean, she's into selling movies that deals with those type of issues to some degree or another. And I don't count or discount necessarily the experience, but let's just say people are human. We can make mistakes without it being racism. There's things that just simply we just got to stop being so judgmental, critical, and just lack of trusting amongst one another as people. We all have to share this plan, and I think there's some common solutions. As I said before, our communities was much more stronger. We held each other at a higher standard, responsibility, morally, ethically, and everything. You would see black people back in black communities back then. They were in the parks. We as family were together, and a lot of it was before you had such an increase to the General Motors or to a lot of. We went on this rush, this gold rush for money that we abandoned our God, we abandoned our morals, we abandoned how we looked as a people. I think that kind of has been lost. When you look at pictures, even when there was whites and blacks, and you seen a black person, they knew you had to look a certain way. Not because, we're doing this for a Caucasian person, but because, this is the highest form of moral standard. We should look nice, be articulate, we should be educated, we should own our own businesses, we should do these things. And those are the things that are going to help make sure we have the right relations amongst other people. A lot of the things what people don't realize is that most of the Arab and Chaldean stores and Asian stores and nails, all of our money is going from our communities out of the community into the suburban communities to putting their kids through school and those type of things, which is as American, they're allowed to do it. But let's not complain and cry racism until we get into the competitive market to gain back more of our integrity, more of our resources to better our school system, to better our communities, to do these things, that we get back on our knees and pray. We get more encountered to the God who brought us out of bondage. And we don't forget it. We celebrate our bondage as Jews did through the Holocaust. I had an opportunity with a good mentor, Pastor Denson of Salome Ministries, and this is a Messianic Jewish ministry who believes in Jesus Christ and getting Jews saved, like in a relationship with Jesus Christ. And as a result of this, I had a chance to listen to one of the Holocaust survivors, and you just think about what they went through, all they had to, but look at how they transitioned through slavery, through their oppression. They celebrated it, and they took it as a learning lesson to stay closer to God. They understood how important economic values are, staying ahead, because if you don't have the economic foundation there, the education there, and you can be as religious as you want to be, but if you don't have the natural things in place as well, you're going to be like a pocket with a hole in it. It's just going to go right out of your pocket. You'll get money, you're going to lose money. And you wonder why most of the rental places are in the black communities, the liquor stores, all the things that are really not to helping us develop the right social values that we need to prosper as a people, and so those are the type of things that we should be confronting and going against, not crying racism, not using it for
racism is the assumption. We assume it's racism. When I was in Senegal, I ran into, it's French speaking.
Yes.
And how we are in America, we speak one language.
Right.
I'm in all these places where people haven't even been to school speaking 3 languages. I'm over there with all this education speaking 1 language. But I was talking to a Frenchman that they married a Senegalese, because they were a French-speaking nation, and then France comes in there and they see these tourists, see these black women, they get married, and they move out of France down to Senegal. Well, anyway, I was talking to this one guy from France, and I probably understood about 30% of what he was talking about. Many times I was grunting, and I was saying, and just simply keeping the conversation going. But a lot of what he was saying was missed in the translation because our accents were different.
Correct.
And my point is that Oprah knows this. Oprah is a world travel person. And she knows that when you go into places where English is not your first language, you're going to miss something in the translation.
There's a lot of cultural differences.
And the assumption was that she was facing racism rather than in lack of understanding of what the request was about. Because I run into that all the time.
And you got to also look, racism and prejudice is 2 separate things. People may have a bias or a prejudice against something, but it doesn't necessarily make them racist. And I believe people have a right to their prejudices. If they have those things reserved, then it's clearly what that is. It doesn't make it right. But they have a right to have those things without crying racism. There's some things I prefer versus other things. And it doesn't mean that I'm a racist person and that other individuals are racist against me. And so you're right. I mean, there's a lot of cultural differences. And that's where ignorance has played a big part. And this is why education and experiences, and I say this amongst people, especially in Michigan Michigan, in Flint, all the other cities, because Michigan is one of the most segregated places. I mean, we just don't intermingle like we should. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of false perceptions of each other through the media. And I'm almost kind of a rarity. People hear, oh, he's intelligent, he's articulate, he's in graduate. Okay, because then they can't look at me like the norm. Mm-hmm. You know, then he's moral. He's a conservative. Where did he come from? Mm-hmm. You know, and so there's a lot of backlash I had to take over looking and overcoming the stereotypical norm of what they think young African Americans are. And that could even be from my own African American people. I've had people that are my race who look at me and say, wow, you're so different. But it's like, look, you don't understand 6 years I took getting through school. You don't understand the hours and hours I spent reading books and praying and asking God to give me a different level of anointing and wisdom on my life. You don't understand the grind I've had to take to get the rough off of me, to get on the new. Mm-hmm. I've had to shed. I've had to get some new wine skins that God could put new wine in. I've had to change and transform. And it took a lot of work. You can't be lazy if you want to understand and have a worldview, if you want to have better relations with people, not just certain races of people. You can't be lazy. You have to be able to educate yourself, learn, and then try new things. Don't be so rigid and unorthodox. I mean, unorthodox. Be unorthodox. Get out of it. Be innovative.
Let me ask you, if you run into this a lot. I run into whites trying to find something that will be an inroad in having a conversation.
Correct.
I went out yesterday. That was my anniversary. I went out yesterday, and my wedding anniversary, and I had a U of M hat on.
Correct.
And in this restaurant, this gentleman came over to the table and wanted to talk about the U of M game.
Correct.
Which I told him that I thought this was a child abuse, playing that one team. I mean, 47, we got 40 points in the first quarter. But I keep having situations where they're looking for a way in which if they feel you are one of those persons open to dialogue, correct, they're looking for a way to come into your space and engage you in a conversation if you seem like you're open to it.
And see, I'm with the younger generation.
You see that?
Yeah, all the time. And being the younger generation, I look at you as an elder to me. It's more like, I'm just like, get away with all of that. Like, I almost feel we should be able to just come and I guess more of the younger individuals, we kind of just mix. But a lot of the more older generation, they probably do come across like that. I've even experienced certain younger individuals who they're trying to find, well, what can we have in common? What can we talk about? And it's like, listen, we have a lot more in common than what you think. But when you have a lack of relations, like I went to a school and I worked for Dr. Brenda Brown. She's like a mother to me. She's the LSS director. And we had individuals from South Korea. We had individuals from Africa. We had individuals from all over the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. We had people from all over the world. Mm-hmm. So I worked and had customer service training, employee training, every single semester, I think, where we came together and I worked with people firsthand from all over the world. And I've been out of the country, and you will continue. And I mean, you could be a wealthy Caucasian person, has a lot of high-profile contacts, and you could be a professional. But if you don't have in your personal life any personal friends of diversity, mm-hmm, you're probably not getting the most out of life in your relationships, because you can't mingle. You will never understand something you can't study and experience on an ongoing basis. Mm-hmm. And it is. Most individuals look at or could have the perception that some blacks are inferior, and they could look a certain way. And when they run across somebody who's not like that, they value you a large degree. But all of that is ignorance. You can't put ignorance on a skin color. It's in all skin colors. I mean, you can't try to treat one race as inferior to the next when there's inferiority in every race. Mm-hmm. So the thing about it is, as the Bible says, no man after the flesh, as my bishop always preaches and teaches. I mean, that's a big thing we have to look at. We got to get a renewed mind through Jesus Christ, see each other after the spirit realm, and not necessarily so much by our skin color, mm-hmm, and not even so much of our cultural norms. If you look at individuals like Abraham, he had to leave his cultural norms to learn them something new. And I think all of us need that experience where we get away from what we thought we knew and we embrace what we think we know, and we get out of our familiarity and our comfort zones, and we work across the aisle, and we go meet people and we mingle. But we have to have more of a safer environment here. I mean, if the majority cities that have the largest black populations are the most criminal, crime-ridden cities, that's a problem. I mean, that's not just, I mean, that is a problem. You know, and we have to do more about that. We have to come together and promote more things that are going to help people, you know, have social solutions to these problems where we can change the culture. Mm-hmm. The culture has to change, and that includes race relations and a lot of other things. Mm-hmm. But that can't happen with a lack of spirituality, a lack of morality, a lack of ethics. People are just worshiping money, if that's what you're going to go after. I mean, the Bible says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. And when you have people who can't even come together and have a nice dialogue or even argument, you know, you're supposed to know and gain from arguments. You're supposed to be able to do that in a civil manner. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen anyone who have both engaged in a dialogue that was a healthy dialogue where they didn't both gain something from it. And we need to encourage that more and step outside of the island and work with people. You know, I work with people from all over. Mm-hmm. You know,
I know you do. My optimism comes from knowing that what we're doing right now cannot work. We're not using the right solution. Correct. Therefore we're getting no answers to the problems we're facing. And my optimism comes out of once we start applying the right solution, we'll solve the problem.
Correct.
And I tell you what my frustration would be. If we were doing all the right things and this is the outcome of doing the right things, I'd be very frustrated because you're applying the right solutions and you're getting this outcome. Correct. But that's not what we're doing. We are doing all the wrong things, looking at the situation we're in all the wrong, lens, correct, and we're getting an outcome that should be expected.
Correct. And that's why I really promote, movies like 2016 in America, Picture World Without Her. Not saying that these pictures are just, 1,000% just correct, but they are so much so the truth that it will really, if you didn't know what was what, you didn't know what side of the fence. My younger sister, she's at Georgia State University, I believe, mm-hmm, and she's studying, race relations, and she's taking a number of different academic courses, mm-hmm, and she's calling me all the time about this and about that. And I tell her all the time, have a balanced perspective. Don't just allow your education to be just by little professors. You need to understand a conservative point of view. You need to hear everything from both sides, and you need to know what's going on. And it takes education. It takes you having the right tools and the right information. Most individuals I talk to, because I had some other individuals that were going to go to the Christian Coalition dinner with me, and many of them, before I was even able to really go into detail about it, they automatically thought it was just a Republican thing. And it's like, wait a minute, this is a Christian Coalition dinner. I'm not just for a political alliance, I'm for the truth. But they don't, what it showed me is that they don't have a clue of what is what. They don't know what a real Republican is. They don't know what biblical values conservatives are principled on. They don't understand the gimmick and the scheme that's surrounding around racism. They don't understand the lack of morals and ethics because a lot of it's not even being taught in the church. Mm-hmm. So if it's not even being taught in the church, and it's not even being taught in schools, then how are they going to learn it? Mm-hmm. Now, you have to do it on an individual basis now and do this.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned movies. Have you seen the Sousa's film? What would the world be like if there was no America?
That's what I mean.
That's 2016.
Yeah.
Is it called 2016?
2016 was his first documentary that came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen the last one?
And America, I still actually have to go see. I've seen the first one. I promoted it, and I've actually been in talks with his daughter. We've been dialoguing back and forth, and possibly could have some things coming up concerning him, and even a movie premiere where she's going to actually possibly be able to write something in support of the movement and those who support this movie premiere. But there's a lot of things surrounding that. But yeah, I've seen a lot of the preview clips. But I know with him being from Dartmouth, Ivy League, the previous dean of the university, this is a scholar. This is somebody who's really trying to give a balanced perspective on things. And I think anybody who wants to know or interested in government or just our society, that it's a movie worth seeing.
Mm-hmm. It's worth seeing. And one of the things that rivets you to the film is that the Sousa, who is an immigrant, is more within the purview of the framers to understand what they're trying to do more than those who are indigenous to the culture. And it's amazing. And an outsider comes in, he's got more patriotism than those of us who were born inside the...
Well, think about it. He embraces, his daughter wrote a phenomenal book, an intelligent conversation, I believe, about faith. He's embraced Christianity from another concept, previously being Catholic. He's done a lot of things to stand firm on the moral and Christian values that America was founded on, how it's been the best country, regardless of our issues in the world. You know.
Well, let me ask you in the closing minutes we have here the question that Dr. King raised, I think in his last book. Where do we go from here?
We have to continue to be principled. Yeah, I'm personally going to continue to be principled, continue to influence the community, continue to influence the areas that God has called me to, and whether it's in, outside of politics. But again, I'm focusing on marriage now. I'm focusing on just moving forward and finishing my master's degree because I'm only a few classes. I'll be going to New York in October. I'll be there for an international summer market trip. We'll be going to Wall Street and doing some touring there, and I'll be back. This is a school project where we go to an international market. So I'll be back, and I think education, community activism, but just education and just really standing firm on the founding fathers' principles and my Judeo-Christian values and shaping the globe by that, because I believe that's what Jesus commissioned us to do.
Well, you maintain your definitely maintain your principles and have matured more so in those principles you were talking about once before when you were here at the studio. I want to thank you for coming in. I always enjoy talking to you.
Always a pleasure.
And it is always a pleasure to have you as a person here to
I wish I could have had you in your classrooms at University of Michigan, man. I hear so much of how you were just, I mean, a lot of my friends tell me you were a great professor and you were young, and I wish I could have experienced that.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy that you're out there and maintain what you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, we are very happy again to have had you stay with us for the last hour, and we hope you will in fact get involved in those things that are important in your life and make things better for all of us. We're looking for you to make your contribution. Until next time, I want you to, as always, follow your dream, and then if you don't do that, you know what's on the other side of the rainbow. Okay, peace, and we'll see you next time.